Why expand your business? There could be a number of things that make you decide that you're wanting to grow your business. It might be that demand is increasing for your product, and so you actually have to grow it because your customers want you to. You might decide that you actually have got a wonderful offering that you're wanting to take into different places, and so you actually want to open up subsidiaries or branches in different places so that you can make your product available to more people. I think, and there are many other reasons also, but I think one of the things that you've got to make sure is part of your reasoning thinking is that you're actually going to be able to increase your profit and revenue into your company by expanding. If you're not going to be able to increase your profit and revenue, you have to think very carefully about whether expanding your business is a good idea. I think one of the key risks in expanding any business is the risk of overextension. You can see that there's an opportunity. You start throwing resources and people at being able to fulfill that opportunity, but sometimes the money doesn't necessarily come at exactly the same time as the expansion. It's something that happened in my own business years ago. I had some beautiful projects that I was running. I employed some staff to be able to deliver on those projects. We focused so much on the actual delivery of the project that I wasn't anymore looking at pipeline and being able to bring in new work to keep all of my workers and current workers busy. And when we got to the end of those projects, our company nearly hit the wall because our costs now far exceeded the revenue that was coming in at that time. And we just hadn't thought it through carefully enough at that time. So you've really got to make sure that you've got the cash flow and you've got the appetite and the time to be able to move through an expansion phase. The very first thing that you need to think about is, do I have the right systems and processes in place to be able to take my business to a new level? Many of us will start a business because we fall in love with something that we like to do. Maybe it's baking pancakes and selling them, or selling cell phones, or whatever it might be. And when you've got one or two people involved in a tiny micro enterprise, the two of you can actually run that business in your head. It's really easy. The decisions are made really fast. Money in comes, money out goes. It's not a hard thing to do because it can be contained in such a small space. But when you start to grow that business, the way that you think and the way that you operate is not necessarily appropriate for being able to grow things. So when you've suddenly got, say, 5 or 6 people working in your business instead of just 2 or 3, sometimes the decision that the different people are making in those businesses have great impact on each other, but they don't actually talk to each other properly anymore. And so you can start having all sorts of challenges happening if you're not putting the right reporting and foundations in place to be able to do that. The things you need to look out for when you are growing your business, I think probably the most important one is looking out for your own arrogance. We can always get a little bit beyond ourselves. You know, success does breed success, but sometimes as we're succeeding at something, we stop looking at the things that make us successful and we start taking our own success for granted. And it's at that very, very point that a lot of things can trip you up. The other thing that can be a very tempting thing to do when you are in that vulnerable space of growing your business is to lose focus. When you find yourself really good at one particular thing, it can be very tempting to suddenly branch out here and branch out there and to start spreading your own resources and your own headspace across too many things that can actually distract you rather than enable you. It's quite important to keep the focus and to make sure that you're actually taking the steps towards being able to grow something successfully instead of trying to be all things to all people. What we have to do is we have to be able to take that failure and learn from it. You've blown a business up in your face and you've lost money and you actually, it kind of tackles you in your ego space. Or you also have to be able to, within the growth of a particular business, you've got to be able to take each failure in your stride. And the way that I prefer to do that is to actually take each failure as a learning experience for myself. It's almost like every failure is what I would call university fees. If it costs me money, it's probably going to teach me more because it hurts more. But what I like to do with every single one of those failures is to sit down with myself or with my leadership team and examine and understand how it came about. You've got to step out there and do it. You know, success or failure really begins with taking the first step. And if you mess it up, shrug your shoulders, dust yourself off, set yourself up again and try again. But if you don't try, you're never going to pull it off. Our country so drastically needs people to start small businesses and to employ people and to create opportunities and to grow this economy, that for you not taking a chance, you're not just robbing yourself of an opportunity, you're actually robbing all of your prospective employees and customers and your country itself.
Sibonga ngezivakashini sethu kunikela ngesikhathi sakhe ukuthi abe nathi khona la ehlelweni umnotho wami lamuhla.
Ungayenza ke mbukeli ngoba masibuya sikuphathele lokunye ndikabi.